Yeah, hi, this is my AFL Ladder Predictions. Okay, first off, we've got Adelaide. I reckon they'll finish bottom because they simply just don't have a good enough players, basically. Just don't have enough good overall players in there. There's fairly inexperienced, they're young. Also, their forward line's going to be weak, particularly without Taylor Walker at the start of the season. So they've got to struggle early on to score goals. I can't really see them winning too many games. The younger players haven't really developed as much as what you want yet. You need players like Darcy Fogarty to really start coming through and show what they're made of, and they haven't really done that yet. So Adelaide 18th. Next up, we've got North Melbourne at 17th. Look, they may win a few more games this season with a better percentage, I reckon. But they finished quite well the second half of the season. They're more competitive and they won a few games. They had a terrible start to the season. Um, so, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, second last for North Melbourne. They may improve. We'll soon see. 16th, Collingwood. What I reckon, it's simply because the older players are getting older. Pendlebury, Sidebottom, they're past it. So it's up to the next generation. I reckon Jordan De Goey and Jack Cresp are very important players for them this season. I reckon they're their two key players. Hopefully they can step up when needed. So yeah, Collingwood, yeah, they're going to be on the rebuild now. They've passed it. At 15th, we've got Hawthorn. I reckon this team, they're a funny one, Hawthorn. They're a new coach, got a lot of young players coming through. Most of their good, experienced players that have got left now, they're retired or gone to other clubs. So, yeah, I just don't think Hawthorn are quite up to it. They may pull a few upsets like they usually do, but then they'll lose games and they're up like 5 goals against North Melbourne last year, and it's just they shouldn't be losing games like that, and they end up beating my side Essendon at round 1 when they're 5 goals up, or 6 goals down, I should say, and they should be winning games from there. But yeah, they're a funny side, Hawthorn. I don't know with them. They could easily finish this like probably 12th or 11th, but it can win the wooden spoon. So yeah, there's Hawthorn for 15th. That wraps up the bottom 4. I reckon either of these sides can win the wooden spoon, to be honest. And at 14th, we've got Gold Coast. What I reckon they're 14th and not in the bottom 4. It's just simply as I reckon their players are going to improve. I know Ben King's out. If he was in, I reckon they could even get to 10th, to be honest. Maybe even a sneaky chance of getting into the top 8. I reckon some of the younger players will improve, like Jack Lukosius, Noah Anderson. They'll improve, even Matt Morrell, and a couple other players, that will start improving. And Suk Muller, he's an absolute gun player. He could even win the Brownlow this season. Who knows? But he's underrated. Now he's rated where he should be. But yeah, he's a gun player. I reckon they might, they could have finished higher at Gold Coast, but we'll soon see with Gold Coast. They're at 14th for a reason. It's just simply them generally die off in the second half of the season, either due to poor fitness techniques or just inexperience. My main concern is the forward line for Gold Coast. I just don't think it's there without Ben King. They need Alwazak Ranklin and that to step up. Look, now they could surprise a few Gold Coast, but they're at 14th for safety reasons. Just need to prove people wrong, Gold Coast, and they just haven't done that yet. West Coast. Oh, West Coast. Yeah, this is an interesting one here because, look, I just can't see West Coast improving from 9th. The way they've played a few of their games last season was just shocking, particularly when they played against Geelong and Sydney in Geelong. I mean, they were terrible games, absolute abysmal, probably some of the worst footy you've seen from a team last season. And West Coast, they could even finish bottom. Maybe 13th is a bit too high. Some people think they're a bottom 4 side. Look, I want to stay with 13th just because, West Coast, they've still got a few good players there, but they're getting old. And their home ground advantage will keep them will stop them from getting in the top 4. In the bottom 4, I should say. Up next, we've got Freo at 12th. Now, look, this is a tough one. From 12th to probably up to 7th, or it's just this next lot of group can finish anywhere in between those in that range, I reckon. So don't get mad at me if I didn't put your team higher than where they could be. Look, Freo's 12th. This is simply, they just haven't been the top 8 for a while, basically since I think 2015. It's been that either in the bottom 4 or this bottom mid-table side. They just haven't really, proven people wrong yet. I do reckon last season was a bit of an improvement, and I reckon, look, they can finish the top 8. Don't get me wrong. They're finishing the top 10 first. I reckon they can get there. They may get a few extra wins and a bit better percentage, but their bad games are just not good enough. They're inconsistent. They lose games against sides they probably should win, but then they do have a few upsets at home. Sometimes Freo. Look, I reckon they will improve the percentage and win maybe 1 or 2 more games. They could even finish higher. I just don't reckon. Just don't have that experience or that bit of proof like some of the other sides that are above them have. And the next one is Carlton. Look, this side is another tough team to predict. They just haven't been like Freo. They just haven't been up there for a while. They haven't made the top 8 since 2013, which, other than Gold Coast, is the only side that haven't done that. So, which is pretty alarming, to be honest. It's just, that like Freo, they need to have that proof to be up there. And all the other sides above them have been in the 8 recently. So, look, I'm going Carlton 11th. I mean, they came out in the top 8. I just think a lot of their bottom half of their list needs to step up, I reckon, at Carlton. And that's their biggest problem. Look, you got Walsh, you got your Cripps, you got your Wiedering, you got Adam Sarge, you got those type of players. They just don't hit their bottom end with Carlton. And that's why they're at 11th. At number 10, I've got my side Essendon. And the reason why I put him here is just simply I'm not going to be biased towards my team. I reckon we'll fall back due to the hard fiction, not because of the talent and ability. And we do have players like Carl Hooker who have retired, which may hurt our goal scoring and defence a little. But I reckon it's more of a good thing because it will help our younger group of players or our team right now just to step up a bit and try and score. Look, the criticisms for us are usually our forward line, but to be honest, it was actually our strength last season, our goal scoring. It was our defence I reckon we had an issue with. Look, people say we need more key forwards, and look, that's probably true. I just think we need Harry Jones will take a few seasons, I reckon. Fortunately, he just had an injury recently. I reckon we should recruit another forward in the off-season, maybe Sam Wiedering, which I was kind of disappointed in. I reckon we really need a player like him. Overall, though, I reckon, 10th is probably a modest, depending how things go, particularly at the start of the season. If we have a good start, I reckon we will finish. Hopefully, we won't even make the 8, but we'll soon see. We need Peter Wright to, at least get the 40 goal mark. I reckon that should be his goal, and I reckon he can get there. All right, number 9, GWS. Again, this side's just probably the most unpredictable team. I don't know with the GWS. They could probably finish as low as 10th. Or even get to 5th, this team. It's just they have poor luck with injuries and the coaching's been the positioning with their players. It's just, I don't know, GWS, just, look, I'll put them at 9th. This simply, it's just unpredictable. I don't reckon they can finish higher, but they just lose games. I think lost the game against Hawthorn, then they go and beat Melbourne, and then they lose a game against Gold Coast. It's just, oh gosh, this GWS side, I don't know them, to be honest. Is there past it, GWS? Is it winning them the flag past it? I reckon it is, to be honest. They don't have Jeremy Cameron anymore. I just reckon they probably need to get a couple more players in to make them basically the top 8, win the flag, or make the top 4 even. Anyway, that's enough of them. 8th spot, St Kilda. This is another tough one, like all these sides I'm about to talk about in this area. Look, I'm going to put them 8th. I reckon last year was a down year. They got a couple of players I reckon are going to improve. I reckon they made the finals in 2020, but that was a different style. It may not suit St Kilda. Look, I reckon if they can have all their side in, like with Ryder, Marshall, Jack Steele, all them playing, and Butler improving, and a few of the other players, King stepping up, I reckon they're going to be a good side and not an easy side to beat. My question is if all their players are going to step up, more of their players are going to step up. That's the question for St Kilda. And for Richmond, number 7th, I reckon they'll finish 7th. Look, Richmond, I reckon they're past it to win the flag, to be honest. Some people say, oh, they're going to make top 4. They're not going to make top 4. If they finished 12th last season, they're not going to make top 4. I know Melbourne, a few seasons back, finished second bottom and then end up now. Now they won the flag just recently, but they had a lot of other issues. I think Richmond, they're done, but they will make the top 8 this season. They got enough there. It's just, after seeing last season, they had a few crappy games against St Kilda and Gold Coast, and you can't have that. So I reckon they'll finish 7th, but even that, I reckon they can finish out of the top 8 again. So they might just make it, but just. Number 6, we got Geelong. Look, I can't see them making top 4 anymore. I reckon their days of making top 4 are gone. That's it for Geelong, to be honest. I still reckon they come out the 8 just only because of their home ground advantage, but they'll probably get knocked out in the finals. So I reckon, Geelong will finish 6th, mainly due to their home ground advantage. And they do have a few good players that are getting too old. It's just getting rid of Jordan Clark's going to hurt them long term. Recruiting these old players just isn't going to work, I reckon. As we've seen with Hawthorn, it just hasn't worked out. Okay, number 5th is Sydney. Now, I don't reckon. Look, Sydney, they're going to be a good team, but I'm not really convinced of them either. Look, they've got a few good young players coming through, but it's just the inconsistency of some of their players is a bit concerning for me. And then you got the older players like Franklin, Josh Kennedy, even Parker, and I reckon they're past it. I reckon he needs to step up. He's just had a poor run with injury. I reckon he's a key player. And the ruck department just isn't there. They got Hickey. He was their main reason why they finished. Another reason why they finished 5th, or made the top 8 last season when they finished 6th. Never mind. So people forget about that. So look, I wouldn't write Sydney off. I don't think they win the flag, to be honest. They could make the top 4. But it's just, it's a tough one. At 4th place, we've got Port Adelaide. What do I reckon they'll finish there? It's just simply because they're a good side. I just don't think they're good enough. I just don't think they're better than their top 3, basically. They got players like Zach Butters, who I reckon will improve. Connor Rosie. It's just Travis Boak and a few of the older players, are past it, I reckon. They won't perform as well, and that's just the question with them. That's why I've got my doubts. They might even miss out the top 4. It's going to be tight. They'll make the 8, definitely, but it's another tough one here. The next 3 are probably the most obvious ones, I reckon. Probably the easiest to do out of this whole ladder prediction. It's probably the toughest here, to be honest. But Western Bulldogs, look. 3rd, we got Western Bulldogs. Why? Look, I reckon defense is their problem, and having Josh Bruce out is going to hurt them. And that's why they struggled a bit in the last few rounds towards the end of the home and away season. They don't have him there. I just can't really see it, working out structurally for them. Look, they have a great midfield, the best, but their defence just isn't there, and they got found out in the final there against Melbourne. So that's their biggest issue with the Western Bulldogs. I reckon they should have tried to look out for another defender in the off season, but they didn't. And Western Bulldogs will finish 3rd. At number 2, we got Brisbane. Look, I just got something to feel about them. I reckon they'll make the grand final this time after missing out of making it the last few seasons. So I reckon it's their season to make the grand final of Brisbane. And the next one is obvious, Melbourne. Who would have thought? No surprise there. Yeah, I know it's kind of boring, but after the final season last season, you just can't have them number 1st. Look, it's going to be tough winning it back to back. It's harder these days. Do I reckon they can do it? Yes, simply because now they're going to be playing the MCG too. If they manage to get the home final, I reckon they got this flag in the bag just about, depending if they get injuries and etc. We're talking before the season. So there it is. Like and subscribe if you want more videos like this.